Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and open up the Excel, the data file 2-3. We're going to go over, this is actually an independent challenge one that you're supposed to be doing on your own, but I'm going to help you. So, on Excel 2-3, the data file that you get from Blackboard, you should open up something like this, the estimated coffee shop expenses. And what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about working with formulas and functions. And we have to match. Now, you can't just put the numbers that you see at the bottom of the page. You actually have to put formulas that give you those numbers. I'm going to do this step by step. I'm on page 46 of the new Microsoft Office 2016 book. You're going to make up your own expense data and enter it in cells B4. And then you see the colon and then B10. That only is trying to tell you that that means B4 through B10. So the colon just means through. Monthly sales are already included in the worksheet. Okay, so create a formula in C4 that calculates the annual rent. So first we have to do the sales. So they came up with $2,500 for the monthly rent. So we're trying to figure out how they got, or we're just putting that in, right? We're just entering that data. And the way to enter data is I like to do it from top to bottom. It's a lot faster. So when you see 2,500 and you see all the way down to the utilities, which I believe is $750. Yeah, it tells you to make up your own expense data. We're going to go with what the book gave us. And the way to enter the data is to press enter while you're going down. It's going to be a lot quicker. Use your numeric keypad on the right side of the keyboard and memorize what numbers are there. When I was a banker, I used to have to always memorize the numbers on the calculator so that I could enter it a lot quicker. And I'm only looking at the book. I'm not even looking at my keyboard, and I'm just pressing enter. Now to find the total, you're going to have to put a function there. What function are we going to use, Alex? What tab is that on? Is it also located in another tab?
Yeah.
Which one?
The home tab.
Home tab. What group?
Editing.
Yeah, so that's a weird group to fit it in, but that's where Excel put it. So just remember that's all the way on the far right. And then you're going to see sum. You're right. You can also find it in formulas tab, but why do an extra step when it's right there already for you? That's going to save you time. So it's going to ask you to verify, to make sure. Do you want to add up B4 through B10? You can always say, no, actually, I only want to find the expenses for rent and supplies. Or I only want to find it for rent through sugar. How would it be another way that you can do it, that you can skip one of the cells? Let's say I wanted to do rent and sugar. What would you press?
Hold control.
Yep. No, not all, just control.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Hold.
Yep, just control. But thankfully, we don't have to make it so complicated. We're just going to go ahead and find the sum of all of them. So B4 through B10. So remember, your B is your column, and then your rows are your numbers. And when they intersect, that is a cell. Enter. You should get 11,200, which matches what the book is. Another way to make sure that you actually enter the formula correctly is when you click on the cell that has a formula, look at your formula bar. This is called a formula bar. It'll tell you there. You use the auto sum, and this is what you added. Another way you can do it, double click. But when you double click, it's going to think you're trying to edit the formula. So press enter. Because if you double click and click another cell, sometimes it'll try to fit in another cell into that function. That's not what you're trying to do. Okay, cool. Now, how would you find the annually? This is where you do some critical thinking. If the monthly is 2,500, what would the annually be?
Times it by 12.
Multiply it by 12. So how would I manually put that formula in? How do you always enter a formula? Manually, without having to go to your auto sum or anything like that.
And the top thing up here.
Yeah, you can put it there, but you're already here in the cell. So what would you do right when you're in the cell? Equals, right?
Okay.
equals, and then you always want to cell reference. You never want to type in the number. You always want to reference a cell because this rent could change. What if it goes up to 2,600? You're not going to want to delete this. You're going to want to just reference, already have this reference, and have it do it by itself. And then what's the symbol to multiply? Yep, shift 8. And then what are we multiplying it by? 12. So now you know that you're spending $30,000 on rent annually. You may want to move somewhere else. Jeez, that's a lot of money. Oh my God, that's my whole salary. No, I'm just kidding, but that's kind of close to it.
I have a quick question about
Yeah.
this book. It says on the website.
Hold on, let me pause the recording.
Okay.
1 second.
It's gonna be there forever.
Okay, so going back to our spreadsheet. We found it annually. Now, should I enter each formula on every cell afterwards? No, because it's going to be the same formula for all of the rest. We're multiplying by 12 for each one of these. So what should I do, Alex?
The little fill bar, that entity.
The autofill, yep. Oh, no, you don't even have to go to the tab. You just have to go to the very bottom corner and wait until it turns into that crosshair, and then autofill all of the rest, including the total one. And then your number should match what's on the book. So you want to double check. So then you can see that the formula is right. And you can see that, okay, B5, I want to multiply it by 12. B6, I want to multiply that by 12. And then down here, B11, so this one, and then you're going to multiply it by 12. Because you're just seeing what your monthly expenses are at the coffee shop. And then you're also seeing what your annual expenses are. Now, here's the tricky part. There's going to be a projected increase of 0.17. So that means that, you know, things are going up and prices are getting higher. And now you're going to be spending even more money on this coffee shop. So you're trying to figure out whether you're going to be able to afford it, or you're going to have to increase the prices on your coffee. So you're going to put 0.17 there. And the cool part about Excel is you can put this on any cell. It doesn't matter which one. They put it on H2. So what you can do is select this and just move it over one time. And then that way we have everything matching. And then we're going to make 2 extra columns under E and F. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. This time, we're going to manually put equals. We're going to cell reference our monthly. And then what are we going to do?
Times it by 0.17.
Right, but do I actually manually put in 0.17?
No, you just click H2.
Right, so you cell reference it. When you do that, remember how the autofill, it doesn't work unless you do what? Absolute cell reference it, which is which one? F4. F4, remember F4.
Okay.
F4 is going to help you. That did not give me the same answer. Why? I know why. Let me pause this real quick. I should have said it while we were recording it. Okay, so when we did this, it's just showing us that it's going to increase by $425. That doesn't mean that's the actual rent that you're paying monthly. So what you want to do is go back into that formula. And this time, I'm sure it's going to want us to use parentheses because we want all of this. And this is just using the order of operations. We're just trying to make sure that everything in the parentheses is going to be added to what our monthly rent was before. So we're going to add it, and you can do this after the parentheses or before it. It doesn't matter. So let's do add here, and before that, let's go ahead and reference the monthly rent. Does that look right? Enter. That's better, right? And then you're just going to autofill. But remember, in order to use the autofill, you have to absolute cell reference that one number. And there we go. That's better. So remember to absolute cell reference that. So the way you know that you absolute cell referenced it is once you see those dollar symbols. So if it doesn't work without these, and it won't, and when you try to autofill, it won't give you these answers, that's because you forgot to absolute cell reference it, which is just the F4 key. And that's anytime you see this type of situation, you're gonna know in your head, like, okay, I had to absolute cell reference it. Let me think. Okay, so that worked out. Now here, what are you gonna do?
You just timesing it by 12 again?
Yep, you're just cell referencing this one and timesing it by 12. So now you can see that 0.17 increase is actually a lot. Because now you're seeing that your rent just went up another $5,100 a year. And that can be a lot. So now they have a lot to think about when it comes to their sales. Okay, so now how do you feel in these other ones?
The sales,
Yep.
it would be a formula, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Function.
And you're just referencing your sales and you're trying to figure out how much you make in your sales
Usually a lot.
every year. Oops. So you just times it by 12. And then for your profit loss, that's asking you, did you make a profit? How do you find out whether you made a profit?
You subtract the two.
Yep. Which one first?
The first one.
The sales?
Yeah.
Sales minus your expenses. And it looks like we made a profit. If it was a loss, it would be a negative. And then you would definitely want to reconsider keeping that coffee shop open.
Oh, that's business rent. I thought that was a homeowner.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, right? You're right. All right, and then this one, same thing. We're just trying to total the monthly, or what are we doing with this one? Oh, this is sales again.
Yeah, sales again.
Okay, so for this one, did they just put 23,000 down there, or was there a formula?
They might have.
Because that's just their projected sales, maybe. And then for this one, we're gonna actually put a formula. We're gonna say this one equals.
No, well, no, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was just their projected sales. Unless they multiplied it by the 0.17.
That's what I was about to say.
Okay, let's try to see that. So let's delete this one. Let's delete this one. And let's put it in a formula. Equals their sales. Maybe it'll also increase by 0.17. Maybe. It would be nice if your sales increased with your expenses. And we're forgetting one thing. Parentheses. Oops, I was using my left arrow key and does not want to let me do that. Just use your cursor. And always reference, because in case these sales go up, it'll now reflect over here. No, that wasn't, because that's way higher than what's on the, so yeah, no, your sales aren't going to increase. They're just projecting, they're just estimating that their sales will be 23,000. And then we're gonna equals, reference this. Did you get a different number? Did you get a different number when you did that?
No.
Okay. And then profit or loss, again, you're just gonna equals, you're gonna say, this was my total expenses, this was my sales, so sales minus expenses. You still made a profit, so you're doing good. And then over here, we can just probably copy the same formula. Let's see if it does it. Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. If you want these all to look like money, like currency, you can just go up here to number and put currency. But they didn't have that in the book, but just in case. And that's it. Any questions? A little tricky, but you just have to take a moment to think about it, and then hopefully it makes sense. And again, Excel is here to help you. It's like a big calculator. All right, thank you.